Hey everybody, how's it going? Uh, Welcome back to the Cold War. Now, listen, more than anything else, you folks need to understand that the Cold War was about the U.S. versus the Soviet Union, East versus West. East is the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc countries, and West is the United States and NATO. There's a map I had linked to you earlier for you to check that out on the PowerPoint, which I will also attach for you again to look at. Now, there were lots of conflicts during the Cold War where the Soviet Union and the United States never actually fought, but they supplied their own side, and sometimes we fought, sometimes we didn't. So, for example, a major conflict is the Korean War. And I have some notes here for you in the Korean War to check out. I have a little map here for you to look. This is our containment. The Truman Doctrine was to stop the spread of communism. And we sent soldiers into Korea to stop the North Koreans who were communists from taking over the South Koreans. The North Koreans were supplied by the Russians. North Korea is still a communist country today. Here's the actual dividing line between North and South. Cool little video of an escape that happened a few years ago. Check it out. The Cuban Missile Crisis was an example of the arms race. The arms race was the nuclear arms race between the two countries. You could check that out also. And I've linked a bunch of videos to the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Korean War, the Vietnam conflict, the arms race, the space race. So you could check that out. The closest the world came to nuclear disaster was the Cuban Missile Crisis. I have the arms race there, which morphed into the space race. Who could be the first person to put somebody on the moon, which we were. Neil Armstrong was the first person on the moon. So I have some notes there on the arms race and the space race. Also, we're launching a shuttle into space today, the first time in 9 years at 4 p.m. Check it out. So I have a whole bunch of stuff on astronauts, the space race, all kinds of cool stuff, the Korean War, the Vietnam conflict. I have some notes on the Vietnam conflict. Here's Ho Chi Minh, the leader of North Vietnam. And we have the American presidents, JFK, LBJ, and Richard Nixon, who were presidents during this. This was a huge conflict. And again, that was the North Vietnamese were supplied by the Russians and the Chinese, and we fought alongside our South Vietnamese allies to prevent the takeover of South Vietnam from becoming a communist country. And this here shows the Ho Chi Minh Trail, where the communists would sneak weapons and supplies and soldiers into South Vietnam. So that you could check that out. And I have some cool videos. I didn't put a video of this guy, Pol Pot, but I will later. One of the biggest genocides of the 20th century. So I have all kinds of cool stuff here. We're focusing on conflicts. Another Cold War conflict was the war in Afghanistan between the Afghanis and the Russians. The Soviet Union was attempting to take over Afghanistan. And while we didn't send soldiers into Afghanistan, we heavily supplied the soldiers in Afghanistan, so they were able to withstand the Soviet Union. And after, just about 9 years, the Soviets pulled out of Afghanistan. They were attempting to take it over. So that's another Cold War conflict. So while you have the Korean War and the Vietnamese War, where the American soldiers are actively engaged in fighting the allies of the Russians, or the Soviets, in the war in Afghanistan, you have the Soviets fighting, and we are supplying the Afghani army. Now, you're going to check out the assignment in the link. I have a Cold War movie project. You could pick Cold War movies. Check it out. All the links I put in the assignment, you should check it out. I have a special one in there, Rocky IV. You're going to love it. East versus West. So check out those Cold War movies. Hit me on Schoology or something if you have any questions. But that's your assignment. Check out the assignment. Watch all the videos. You're going to love the videos. And just keep doing what you're doing. Your projects are looking good. I'm grading them like crazy. I miss you guys, and try to get outside in some hot, sunny weather. Peace. Be well. I will talk to you soon.